To have you back. So, gentlemen in the studio, the Attorney General, that's Latif Fagbemi, along with the ICPC and the EFCC boss, had all come together to call for the urgent passage of a robust whistleblower protection law in Nigeria. And I'm sure you would all agree with me that it is a law that we need at this point, looking at the high rate of corruption and all manner of things going on in the country. But generally, before we just and okay, again, let me quickly take us back to the fact that I think we have a policy, a 2016, yes, policy, but now we are pushing for it being a law, something that would be implemented and all. But how do you feel about it? I already feel like I know your answer, but I mean, I want to just get your views on the whistleblower law in Nigeria. How do you feel about it? Is it something you really
Okay. You see, the law is a welcome development. Let me take us back to the time of AIG retired Magu when he was the EFCC chairman.
Okay.
They use that whistleblowing policy seriously. But one thing I would like that it should not be encouraged in the law is the retaliative effect. That is it's from the government. If you whistleblow and then eventually the person quickly get rid of what you want to do by from government, then before you know, maybe the person would have evacuated every evidences that may harm the person, and then the EFC get there and saw that what they came for, they didn't see it. They will come back to that person.
Which is why the whistleblower law should cover.
They should prosecute the whistleblower. That alone, I think, is a disadvantage. Okay, we should be able to get, once a whistleblower comes, get information, go do diligent investigation, check how true it is. Then, if it is not true, you come back and ask the person to go. But psychology, if you do that, so many people who have some information will be scared that what if these people we have had these people have this, they have, like, for example, the case between federal government and the former Andrew Yakubu, the former NNPC managing director. It was a whistleblowing thing. The 200 million that was found in Kaduna airport at that during Buhari regime, it was a whistleblowing opportunity they took to get that. And then there are many cases. The one in Victoria Island that involves the NIA, the DG, NIA, and so all this, and the Rotimi Amechi saga. Then, so all these things are cases of whistleblowing. But there was one I recall that Magu prosecuted that whistleblower eventually. So but that alone to me should be looked at so that it can be.
Okay, the prosecution of.
No, when you bring the information, and then you refuse to do diligent investigation, then you just quickly follow the information, and when you get there, you discover that what was said was not actually what was there in reality. Then the law fall back on them to arrest. So what I'm saying is that it is better to follow the concept and the ideology of Femi Falana. When he came to police formation recently, when he told them that police should endeavor to do serious investigation before prosecution, and that it was the reason why many cases, they lost, even in the EFCC, that they lost many cases. They failed to do thorough investigation on issues. So, but in this case, you go back and arrest that whistleblower and say that what you gave us was not, we didn't see what you gave us. So then they prosecute that person. So that was the policy thing. So I want to hold it on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me just say that my take is slightly different from that.
Okay.
In the first place, we must know this, that crime itself is a product of, itself is a societal issue. And response to crime, how people view crime, is also sociological in nature. You land in an airport in a different country, you hear such announcement that when you see something, you see something. I'm sure you remember the US marathon, where you had some people bomb blasts during one popular US year's US marathon. In a matter of hours, people were surrendering their CCTV camera, people within the vicinity, to law enforcement agencies. Because there's nowhere in the world where practically you can have CCTV camera cover every unit. The people saw it as their natural responsibility to respond in a moment of emergency to a crime that has been perpetrated. In Nigeria, we have a completely different mindset. Your neighbor, your countryman does something wrong. You pretend that, in fact, sometimes you say, probably it's your own turn. And in any case, we have this idea that wealth, whoever has it, is God that allows it or permits it. Those kind of fatalism seems to impede even the most diligent of investigations in our land. That's the starting point. Let's come to the issue of whistleblowing. You saw the principle, the initial policy actually has, it's quite broad enough in terms of what it seeks to achieve, to encourage people to voluntarily divulge information to relevant agencies to forestall the commission of a crime. But then you also found that some people with access to grind, maybe your boss annoys you and you think you want his seat and then you want to now give information to mislead people. So it also came with that kind of safeguard to ensure that people do not just, in the guise of whistleblowing,
or falsely,
because whether you like it or not, if you know what it costs to investigate a case, it can be very expensive. And that's where you find in the US, for instance, if somebody makes a plea bargain, you know, it comes up with a life sentence. Because if you allow the prosecution to take place, and the state has spent so much money to prosecute, and you are found guilty, they will come hard on you. So, we must be able to, part of the problems that we've had is actually to find a kind of balance where people who are coming forward will have enough protection to be able to come forward and divulge the information. But you see, the large part of the work actually has to be in public enlightenment and information. You know, you hear billions of naira being taken from the system, and then you ask yourself, is it possible for one single individual to process from the point the expenditure item was initiated to the point of disbursement? You have a chain of institutions along the line. How come none of this is able to put the necessary triggers to stop the commission of a crime? We have got so compliant in crime in Nigeria that it doesn't bother us anymore. In fact, stealing now has become some kind of national culture. The other day, I think it was this, okay, just imagine this week, all these cases being tried. You just hear. In fact, 2 days ago,
Minister of State for Power.
The collapsed.
That's part of the drama that has taken. And then the other week, even in the past week, you saw an encounter between Senate committee and a serving minister. And I don't want to name names now, but you see, the altercation was very interesting. The chairman of the panel, the chairperson, a lady, said, look, DFA, you are here, and you gave so and so information to us. I thought that man ought to have been marched to jail because, in the first instance, they put them on oath. Okay? And then he says, look, I didn't say that. And you could see where things were going. The other day, it was another one in the aviation ministry, where somebody sold a whole aircraft and didn't pay the money. And then the question is, how come these things happen without the system? So we must first and foremost look closely. You see, I'm happy that the law is coming up and that the Attorney General and the ACPC are coming together, because you see, it's a very expensive business to prosecute crimes once they are taking place. Well, this weekend, they will hire the best of lawyers, and our lawyers in Nigeria, they are not interested in being ministers in the Temple of Justice. No, the law profession itself, by its own definition and philosophy, they are supposed to be ministers in the Temple of Justice. They are not supposed to be ministers in the subversion of justice. More often than not, you see some people that, because of the fat briefs they get, they are far more interested in subverting the course of justice than in helping the society to grow. At the end of the day, you see them on television stations with talking points prepared for them from wherever, talking about why the country is not working. Meanwhile, they are also abetors of crime. So that's how bad things have become. We can only encourage people. We want to say the law. But again, we want to see Nigerians also being properly educated on their rights. Because for every 1 million naira that's taken from the system, it translates to that pothole that you run into and you cause and you cause and cause. And we do best at causing people. All of us will sit down in the morning and cause government from morning till the evening, when in a little ways we also are bettors of these crimes that we're complaining about. So that's my own take on this.
But do you think we are ready if this whistleblower law is being put in place? Do you think we are really ready to implement it fully? I mean, we're looking at our security on ground. We're looking at how right now we're even struggling to lay hold on and take charge of terrorism and all of that, and we're having issues of we don't have enough officers to do this. The ones we have are overwhelmed, and now we're coming in to say, oh, okay, now we also want you to protect whistleblowers.
There is nothing Nigerian.
And with our technology,
there is nothing Nigerian that's different from Ghanaian or European or whatever. It's because we have become tolerant of law breaking and misbehavior. That has become part of us. Let me tell you, the day some people, highbrow people, you send them to jail and do not allow system. Just imagine some sort of things that happen around you. How about how big men subvert the law? How do they do it? They get lawyers, they file all manners of frivolous, and the bar association that's supposed to be the ultimate guarantor of what is supposed to be the public propriety. They will watch until things completely break down and people have to look at them. That's when they now begin to talk. Medicine after death. You see, we can either have a law, a society run on the basis of the rules of the law, or one that is driven by arbitrariness. It is not about whether Nigerians are ready or not. All over the world, elites, those middle class who are supposed to enforce the law. Look, people break the law. You can see President Trump, he wants to rule America. Whether or not he's convicted, it's not an issue. But go and find out from his accountants what it has taken from his own purse. The man has spent money. That alone is enough headache for him to think about. You hear him disposes of assets because the system makes. You remember O.J. Simpson?
Yes.
A murder was committed. The system could not handle the murder. You see, they spent money, but they couldn't get through. And then at the end of the day, they slammed civil suits on him, and they made him pay dearly, heavily. He lost everything that ever worked for. That's the system that looks at justice. You see, you could escape with the technical using the technical instruments of the law to escape justice. But the system is always there for you to ensure that they work. They will take their pounds of flesh from you back until Nigerians are made, those in the law breaking in society are made to pay severely. I mean, imagine somebody breaks the law. You can't even bring him to court.
Let's talk about this Ibori case too. Ibori case, during Jonathan, he ran to what's it called, UAE, and then he was arrested there. This is a case that has been long in Nigeria, from one court to the other. He was discharged in a court here in Abuja, I think.
No, it was in
Delta State, and then he was he was taken to UK, and before you know, he got judgment. UK convicted him and his wife, and they served their prison terms. So are you telling me that what has happened there in Nigeria and then in the UK? What happened to our own judgment, our own judicial system that is not being able to stand tall regarding issues of crime in this country? Making people pay, go away with crime, and many of them, they live in the society, and then I have one of the governor, I don't want to mention name, in Gombe State, and then they had issues in the Senate, and he used this corrupt case to negotiate in the Senate, and then before you know, the next day I heard that he said the federal government has discontinued his case. A former governor from Gombe State that wanted to contest Senate presidency. but because of the fact that they wanted a particular person, okay, we will discontinue. I think that's what allegedly would have happened. But I know that the reason they discontinued that case was the reason he has to soft pedal in his ambition of becoming Senate president. So this is a country that we need. Okay, for example, look at the two that was the president gave a presidential pardon to. You know, some of the military officers, police officers, I report crime. They will say, look at the effort we made to do this. We were able to pick this man, hand him over to the EFCC, and then EFCC did rigorous investigation and caught him and then sentenced him and he served his jail term. And then one president is coming to give him presidential pardon. So these are disadvantageous reaction that is coming from many security agencies and by extension in the large society, people would have view their mind to say that why would somebody go through all those things and then get him convicted and then you are giving presidential pardon?
Yeah.
In the way Jonathan gave Alamesia. We don't need that in this country because many of our billions that is being siphoned abroad is through this politician. So once one is, we get rid of one of them, 2, 3, it will serve as a deterrent to others. But when you come, because you have the power to do so, and you did, and then what is the implication in the larger society? How would they see it? How would they perceive it? These are the questions that many would have to answer in a negative term against the person that takes that action.
All right. And to look at the risk of being a whistleblower coming out to call out or to reveal an information, and then at the end of the day, there's no assurance that the judiciary also would do or protect, and your life is at risk at that point.
Nigerians are not timid, though. You see, let's spread the thought that Nigerians are timid. When Nigerians want to do something, they will do it. Nigerians are. I've never seen a country more determined than I've never seen people more determined than Nigerians. Nigerians will speak out their minds. You see, but the major drawback is the question of what happens after. You see, between me and you, we see crime being committed virtually on a daily basis. They are reported. Sometimes you don't even need to go far to know that crimes are being committed. You see a level 17 officer, a director of the ministry, who has a block of series of properties in Highbrow, Metama, or whatever in Abuja. And then you don't, look, a man, a diligent NFIU operator will just sit down and look, compute all his earnings, the entire public service, and then look at his net worth and know that somewhere along the line there's a mismatch. You see, we are in a country that we like to bury our heads like the ostrich. When you see crime being committed around us, the problem with Nigerians is that they have become so used to crime that they become inert, that nothing seems to bother anymore. You see, you had a civil servant being, the case is in court now, so I can't mention, being awarded contract billions by his brother. Such allegations. And the money actually went through at what point? Is it just that the EFCC knew about it? People saw it coming. People, his colleagues in the office, they saw what was happening. And yet nobody talked about it. It's not because they cannot talk about it. It's because many of them are long giving up.
Some of them are perpetrators, editor. Some of them are perpetrators in the ministry. Somebody said even the civil servant are the one teaching the politicians. They are the one.
So it's good that we have, but whether we like it or not, this country stands no chance of surviving with the rate of crazy stealing that's going on.
Yes.
Somehow, it's either we find a way to at least reduce the quantum of stealing going on, or risk that one day we just discover that even the president that wants to go and deliver his budget paper will discover one day that the budget paper has been stolen by some very clever officials. It's going to be as bad as that because you see, it's not that this country is by no means poor.
Yeah.
What is actually happening is that everybody, and it's so sad that what people actually steal money for are things that ordinarily government ought to provide for them. What do people steal money for? Protection, buying, and unfortunately many of them use it for conspicuous consumption. Ask yourself, what do you need? Thank God this government is going to think proactively. consumer credit, because all over the world, even America,
Yeah.
if you work and you don't have a means of purchasing those basic things you need, you will find a way to game the system. But now the government is saying, okay, let's have a credit system
Facility.
so that a young guy who left school does not need to go and bring his grandmother to buy a car. When you begin to now create such facilities to people, at least the middle class can access these things without having to now steal. Because a lot of people still have these ethical boundaries that that is stretched to its thinnest when they're under tremendous pressure. So you can eliminate those ones and then leave those ones who are congenital, certified thieves. So those ones are fewer in number to pursue rather than make all of us thieves. Because come to think of it, what do people really need? House.
Basic amenities.
Abroad, you don't need to go and steal to build a house. There's a mortgage system you can access. In fact, in America, I'm sure you remember 2007, 2008, the collapse of the subprime crisis, housing crisis. What government did was to guarantee loans to people who were not entitled to it. And then somehow along the line, the thing went bust. But that was a way of encouraging people who are not even qualified to access public funds to buy homes. So when Nigerians are able to, you work in public service, you're on level 9. Your salary cannot do anything for you. But somehow you have to access mortgage and you pay over a 30-year period to buy. You don't need to buy a 34 bedroom. No. In fact, it could be a way to control population.
Yes.
You buy a small one-room flat.
Yeah.
And then when you move in there, you know that you have 30 years to pay. You will look at madam, say, madam, can we afford to keep 4 children inside this house? You will use, your head will clear. So those things, if you work them out, Whistle policy is good, but a more proactive policy is actually to ensure that Nigerians are able to access those basic facilities to guarantee that decent living that they crave for. He does not need to buy a brand new car. He doesn't need a Jeep, but he needs, let's say, have a second tier Tokubo market in Nigeria, where maybe some companies dealing with second tier can buy up this old Tokubo, refurbish it, and sell it to younger people at credit something. So the whole idea is that,
and then government,
and then more importantly, government invest massively in public transportation.
Yes.
As robust as UK is today, whether you are a chancellor or whatever, UK has the best public transportation system in the world. Everybody is a level. You go on the underground, and then you go to where you are going.
Recently, the former British Prime Minister, I saw him on video with a bicycle.
So that's what Nigerians need. It's not about money. Everybody's thinking about billion to do what?
All right, Mr. Ariel, do you have last words?
The editor has said largely all that we need to digest more, but it's okay. What we need is just provide basic amenities, like the editor has said, and then certainly there will be some very minimal, level of crime. Recently, I presented a paper on what the editor said regarding why is corruption and security having to be the topmost in Nigeria. So I was able to talk about the pressure that is being put on the security was as a result of bad governance, because of the level in the way the editor have analyzed it, governance, getting basic amenities for low, middle, and high income earners. In Nigerian context, it is either you are poor or you are rich. I'm telling you the fact. So you expect the pressure not to be on the security. Why would they not be overwhelmed? Every day crime is being committed everywhere. You will see them, police is there, army is this, army is that. So definitely we need good governance to build basic amenities